Greetings, Earthlings. This is Rick Polo reporting to you from Social Distancing. I run the Raw Alternative, and I'm also a part of the bands Baroque Monody and Heck Vector. And today, I'm going to be taking over Fred's Firing Squad. That is a video channel by Mr. Fred Whitacre, a dear friend of mine for, I'd say, about the last decade or so, maybe a little longer. He just released his second solo album, and needless to say, it's pretty good. So I've offered my services in giving a video review. This is not my usual format, and I'm going to try my best not to ramble. I'm kind of awkward, but we're social distancing, we're stuck in self-quarantine, stuck in our houses, and I guess it's time to try some new things. So, I had some wine, drank all the wine. Now the glass is empty, story of my life. But I have some notes here, and we're going to get through this review. I'm going to break it down track by track, sort of how Fred does it on his channel. And to give you a quick background on Fred, Fred is the drummer of the extreme metal band Kitchen Knife Conspiracy for, I'd say, the last 20 some odd years. They've made their mark, and they're considered legends in this area. And if you're into heavier metal, you will probably dig them. He also has been a part of this successful hard rock band, White Cadillac. They have two great records out. Be sure to check them out. And now Fred is on his second solo record, which I'm about to get into and review. Fred, on his solo work, he kind of really stretches out into his more alternative and pop and possibly classical influences, just really kind of, digs through his collection of music, what inspires him, and really just brings forth this eclectic work that really kind of surmises everything about him. So, I'm going to get into the review. The new solo record, which is titled Unexpect, opens with the track Deadline. This track opens with this really cool Mike Mills REM vibe. Definitely kind of feels like something that would have came off of Automatic for the People or Monster era REM. Just this really kind of cool driving alternative rock. And the song kind of tackles the issues of growing up, youth fading, time catching up with you, and reflecting even on one's own mortality. From there, the second track, If I Knew Then, sort of picks up where that track left off. Really just a very self-reflective track of the pains of growing up and finding oneself. Looking back at various points of one's life as sort of plateaus, ages 17, 18, 21, 23, when we all just kind of enter new phases of our life, and that are both terrifying and exciting, and it's just kind of funny to look back on that when you have enough time distanced. The third track, Legacy, sort of has this really big alternative rock riff, something you'd hear Pearl Jam doing. The guitars are starting to really beef up here, and this track has a line that really stuck out to me: time will give you no reprieve. I think that line speaks for itself, and it's just a track you kind of really need to dive into, and really, it's got a great riff, so no reason why you shouldn't. From there, the first left turn of this record, the song Too Far Gone, sees another local, very talented local singer, Angie DeNicholas, with these soaring, soulful vocals, with Fred giving these really great complementing underline backing harmonies. But Angie really takes this song and runs with it, and it was a really nice surprise collaboration that I didn't see coming, and they own it. They sound very well together on this track. From there, another track that I got to preview before the release of this record, Noise of the World. Very impressive track. Really is a social commentary on how we act and how we interact with each other in this day and age, in the early 21st century. It's just a cold, distant human interaction, lack of emotion. We would rather text somebody or hop on Snapchat than give someone a call or have a face-to-face conversation. We become cold and distant, and the technology has really just put up with this barrier between us. And the song just really, really drives that point home, really paints the picture of that, because we get lost. We pick up our little Googleators and we fall down a rabbit hole, and we can be in mid-conversation and you blank out. It's happened to me, happens to a lot of people, and it's rough. There's a line in the song, "A numbness that feels like home," I think really speaks for itself. Another great thing about this track is there's this really beautiful, somber, melodic piano that just gets broken up by these big, thick, heavy guitars that it's just really just a contrast of emotion kind of ping-ponging back and forth, and the juxtaposition there is it's just massive and beautiful. Standout track for sure. From there, the record sort of takes, I would assume this is about side B going into track 6 here, really takes more of an upbeat rock approach. This track, Less Smitten, has this sort of Weezer vibe. Really just soaring power pop. It has this kind of chunky, poppy guitar and these vocal harmonies, just something you'd hear in the heyday of Weezer, a nice little kind of hinting back to that. And it's just a great track to really just put on at full blast and just drive down the road to. And after that, there's even the next track, All Is Lost. It's just more soaring power pop, very impressive guitar work, another banger for this record. Features some really accomplished leads and a shredding solo. Fred has really taken his time and thought this instrumentation through, and just these songs just sound very organic, very natural. From there, the track Breathing Their Air. It's another one that grabs you by the thinker. It has this very emotional power pop ballad vibe to it. It just talks about this, the 9-to-5 existence and just this yearning to break free and the loneliness you can find just observing everyone when they get stuck in their narrow path, and you're trying to find meaning, you're trying to find a sense of belonging, a sense of placement, an identity perhaps. It's something that a lot of people struggle with, that I think, once the charm and whatever of your youth kind of starts to kind of fade and you kind of fall into that, it can be difficult to find your place as an adult. Almost as difficult as it is when you are an adolescent trying to figure out who you are, getting through high school and sifting through the cliques, So it's definitely a very reflective track in that regard. And the album concludes with two kind of twin tracks, I feel, Stop the Rain and Lost Myself. Just kind of sort of surmise the entire record altogether. Lost Myself features this really cool bluesy and kind of twangy guitar work, and it just really talks about how you can find yourself through losing yourself. I think that's sort of the message of this record as a whole, that you can't really find out who you are unless you've been lost a little bit, unless you've had to take the steps to find out who you are. But through it all, because it seems like it's kind of this downer, depressing record, and I mean, it definitely has a lot of self-reflection to it, but there's a lot of hope and a lot of upliftingness to this. And being that I've been friends with Fred for quite a while, and you see the aspects of his personality. and it comes through just in a very intelligent, very thought out, and it's great. I caught wind since last summer that he was working on this, and I've been very excited to hear it, and it does not disappoint. Want to thank Fred for giving me the opportunity to check out his album a little early and give it a review, and I hope my rambling didn't throw you off, 3-4 minutes in there if you stuck with me through the end. I appreciate it, because I can ramble. But yeah, Fred Whitacre Jr., Unexpect, out now on all streaming platforms, with physical copies coming in the weeks and months to follow. I'm Rick Polo. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. Love and light.